Well, since elections will be coming up again in pretty soon, another year, let's go over some of the traits where you can pretty much hands down tell if somebody's a liar. And probably this is going to be applicable to pretty much all the candidates out there because I don't know, it's a matter of they're out for number one. But let's just go over some of the traits, some of the main traits. Well, some of the main traits are is avoiding direct questions. In other words, sometimes if it's a simple yes or no answer, they won't give you a yes or no answer. They won't give you a simple answer to anything. It's a matter of fact, it's a long, convoluted answer. It's like, is grass the color green and sky the color blue? Is it yes or no? Well, in some situations it is that way. It depends on the lighting, and also it depends on the time of the day. And it depends on if you're thinking if it's wintertime, maybe the grass is covered in snow. That type of stuff, right? Simple yes or no answer. The other thing is, a lot of times where people will fall back on is maybe their credentials. Well, I've been doing this job for so long, and I've been in the business so long, or I've been a politician for so long, and I've been running this for so long. In other words, to be put to the question to them, are you really an honest person? Are you really telling the truth? Why are you really qualified to do this job or whatever? It's in other words, they will not state like something directly like, because I am 100% honest, forthright individual, and I'll go against the grain, come hell or high water, to do the best job for the American people. Now, some people probably will state that and be lying their asses off, but I guess the best liars win, right? So that's how that works. So that's another way to tell a liar, because besides avoiding the question, evading the question, and not giving a simple answer to a simple question, they will kind of avoid the subject of whether they are honest or forthright or not enough for the office, especially when being asked, what did you do in the past? What about this issue? What about that issue? So, oh yeah, I've been part of the Rose Law Firm for so long, and I know all the legal proceedings and blah blah blah. When asked the question, are you about the person's integrity in following the law? So, in other words, there's not going to flat out state. Well, some people will flat out state it because they're very good liars. They're that narcissistic and cold-blooded, but that's just how, that works. But most normal people kind of evade the question, or they will just not say, hey, I am actually truthful. Maybe the best liars will. But, it comes down to these type of issues. A lot of people just can't blatantly, straight-faced lie to the public over and over and over again. Some people are pretty good at it, but generally speaking, they do kind of have those moments where they slip up. And usually when they start a question, well, I think, and then, well, this is the way this is, and well, that's the way that is, and well, this is the way that is, instead of just forthrightly coming out and saying, this is the situation, this is the way it is. There's no simple, cut and dry, this is the way it is, this is the way it's going to be, this is how I am, take it or leave it. No, they got to beat around the bush because they want to be that person for everybody. Actually, I probably shouldn't show George Bush here, maybe somebody like Kerry or Romney or something like that, because even George Bush was more forthright than Kerry or Romney. So, but Hillary, I don't know, she's a good liar. I got to admit that, man. This lady's good at it. She can come out there and not even miss a beat. She probably won't say well or anything. An honest person probably say well or something more than Hillary. She's good at it, man. She doesn't miss a beat. She doesn't pause. She doesn't do anything. She'll say, I am the most honest person in the world. Yeah. Anyway, just like the rest of them, man, whether they're Republicans or Democrats. But there are telltale signs. And, that's the reason why, like in Congress and sessions, it takes like 5,000 years of hot air to freaking say something simple. Or whenever they pass a bill, it's got to have 5,000 to 10,000 pages of documents that nobody reads. and they don't even read the cliff notes on what the hell's in the bill, and they pass it by, what's the public opinion poll say in my congressional district, or what's the major media say, should I vote on it or not vote on it? That's exactly what they do. It's like, but they got all the freaking time in the world to tell you all this cute stuff. Now, even Ronald Reagan was guilty of this garbage, big time, because you know what? He talked the talk, but he didn't actually walk the walk. A lot of people don't realize that. As far as Ronald Reagan's speeches, hey man, that guy was at least an A or an A plus as far as constitutionality goes. But as far as what he really did, he was right in with the rest of them. And that goes for the top Republicans, top Democrats, no matter who the hell they are. But you got to find those traits of a liar. Liars can't really directly confront you consistently. Usually they can't. Some people are damn good at it, but it's almost like passing that drunk test or sobriety test the cop gives you or something. Usually you can't touch your nose with your eyes closed or walk the straight line, for most people anyway. And, you trip up. Liars usually cannot answer a straight, simple question in a succinct manner like yes or no, or this is the short answer, because they got to beat around the bush, or else you can catch them many times conflicting themselves, where they have one audience says they say one thing to one audience, and another audience is saying something else to. That was one thing I didn't like about Romney, man. He was like, whoa. That was one reason I voted third party, but I just got to put this out. Actually, this is a very simplistic type thing, but if you realize, though, that probably this next election for the presidency, we're going to have the two top liars, maybe Hillary Clinton and Jeb Bush, and the two best of the best liars going, egomaniacs, and, representing the two political camps. And I'm like, neither one of you yo-yos, but, it's good to recognize the traits of a liar. The answer is either it is yes or it is a no. And they can't answer that. They got to give you a large 15-paragraph statement that is neither yes nor no, or they have to fall back on their credentials rather than flat out keep insisting that they are a 100% honest individual, but some of the best politicians that are liars will insist they are 100% honest and look right in the camera and all this kind of garbage. But then they trip up. They trip up. Because, facts are like boulders. They get in the way of those statements. Then they got to freaking talk their way around them. So that is usually your number one indicator. And for the most part, most people seeking office are the four-letter word liar. And what really needs to be done is we got to pick the other word out there is the five-letter word is other, because we don't want to pick the two-party system anymore. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's like we've seen this over and over and over again. They're out for number one. And it's easy to tell a liar. Usually it is. Usually it is. They will seek whatever audience they are in front of, their support. And they'll change their mind when they're in front of another audience. They'll be making promises to the Midwest, promises to the Northeast, promises to the Southeast, promises to the West, the Southwest, or different various groups in the United States. And those promises are always totally conflicting with each other. And then when you put it to question to them, you said this here and you said this there. Doesn't that seem like they disagree with each other? What do you mean by that? They'll come out with a long, convoluted statement rather than coming out with a succinct statement. And complexity is always the guise to hide the truth of what they're really doing. A lot of times, even you'll see this in an office sometimes too. A messy desk and confusion also hides culpability, because you can also state, well, I didn't realize what was going on because I was so disorganized. That's another thing. That's another thing. You'll see that even in the business world, where people look like they're disorganized, but they really are organized, and it's part of a guise. They do this also in the political world, too. Confusion and convoluted statements hides and masks the truth, and those are the tools of the liars. And you'll see that, well, you pretty much know this is pretty much common throughout the political world. But maybe the next time coming up, all these established yo-yos or any of the families of these established yo-yos, they need to be thrown the hell out, because we already know the game with them. Even if we get a new face, it's a liar. At least it's a new face, because we won't know the deal. But you'll pretty much be able to know the deal, because in most cases, they will avoid answering direct questions in a succinct manner. And Hillary, you proved that big time, but they all have. They all have.